You family, and welcome to another Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. Let me just get comfortable. I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, family, because that is what is required of us at such a time as this, that you really find the truth for yourself before it's totally erased, that you really grab onto those books, those deeper books that speak about our true story. Because when you see certain things happening, you can tell that they're trying to bring us back down to that 0 point where everyone can now write a new story and we totally erase who we were. That's not how this is going to happen, family. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us on that platform. Thanks to every single person that has sent us love donations as well. There is a gift for you in the mail if you haven't received it already. Definitely consider supporting us and other, people. I don't want to say black people, but melanated people who are bringing you the truth, family, because I'm finding there's less and less of that information out there as people move on to do other things. But those are stories for other days. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen those big megalith statues of our people, of like the black face, the black faces, the features, our people on Easter Island, which really do show that we were not a continental people. Like, we didn't just come from Africa, but the melanated people are truly a global people. And something very strange has happened, family, where a fire has damaged these massive statues on Easter Island, with some of them charring, said to be absolutely irreplaceable. An unknown number of the stone-carved statues have been affected by the blaze, and Chile's cultural heritage even an undersecretary, not even the president, said. And this is, Easter Island basically has nearly 1,000 of these megaliths known as the moai. And they have oversized heads and generally stand at 4 meters or 13 feet high. And there's a lot of stories about how they came there. That's why, family, you need to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the story of Mama Earth, because some say they were actually living beings that were petrified, and that it's not just their heads, but there was some kind of mud flood that has covered their bodies, and there was a global mud flood. If you look at certain buildings in Europe, you will see that, the current residents of Europe were not the architects of some of those ancient, ancient buildings, family. And you can see by the oversized doors and the oversized windows that there was a previous civilization that lived there before. But so much has been done to try and bring us to a 0 point. And basically what happens with the 0 point is, there's this, I don't know if you'll call it a conspiracy theory, idea, whatever you want to call it, that we've been through this cycle many, many times with the enemies of our souls. And what they do, or what they have done, is they have erased all history at certain points and brought us to a 0 point, and then created a new narrative. That's why I say it's all about the narrative, family. And for Africa to move forward, it's all about developing our own narrative that is not intertwined with our present history when we're millions of years old as a people, that is not concentrated on this colonialism and slavery and how that happened, because that is just a very minute, that is like 2 seconds in a 12-hour documentary about who we are. And if we don't put it in that perspective, then that it's so easy for Babylon to get us into their narrative and make us think that their narrative is the most important. So for me, because they're saying the fire was actually started, so the fire broke out earlier this week on Monday, and it affected like 148 acres, which is like 60 hectares of the cultural heritage site. And they say, they try and say that the Maui or moai were carved by a Polynesian tribe more than 500 years ago, but who knows? And they say, so the fire was started deliberately and is centered around Easter Island's Raraku volcano, which is a united, whatever, UNESCO World Heritage Site. And, Easter Island actually, it lies 3,500 kilometers off the coast of Chile, and it relies on tourism and reopened just 3 months ago following its closure during COVID. The site has now been closed again while a conservation team examines the extent of the damage. But they say, there are some 1,000, not even 100, 1,000 giant stone statues and carvings on Easter Island, the largest of which weighs 74 tons and stands at 10 meters tall. And these are the ones where you can't even break the nose. From the features, that those are melanated giants or melanated beings. Were they petrified? Was this carved out of stone? Did something more diabolical happen? Because there are many, many stories, family, of the petrification, and how we used to, Mama Earth used to have these massive trees, and how even the giants were literally petrified, which means like turned to stone. So the war to take over this land didn't just happen like that. And the reason that the hunter still controls the narrative and still controls the lands is because the story of the lion has not been told. The reason the Mzungu, the Babylonians, are still in control is only because they have to hide 90%, over 90% of our artifacts, of our cultural books, of our symbols. I didn't even realize, family, it's illegal to go into the pyramids and even hold, and meditate or do any kind of spiritual thing. You're supposed to go in and go out. Why is that? Why would they ban meditations in the pyramids, for example? And you see, there has been a consistent effort to remove the evidence that this is a melanated planet, family. Consistent, and they continue at it. As much as they are so consistent in erasing us from history and from this world. And there's so many of our people who are going to fall for it and are going to be erased, literally. But there is a new dawn that is already here. It's not even approaching, it's already here. There is a new dispensation that is unfolding, family. But sadly, some of our people, just because they don't want to go and do their own research and read their own things and expand their own minds, are going to have to be left behind. Because they're saying that they've suffered irreversible damage. And they say, the figures they try and say the figures were carved by indigenous Rapa Nui people sometime between the years 1400 and 1650. I really don't believe that. And they say they were figures of spiritual devotion, embodying the spirit of a prominent ancestor. Each one was considered to be the person's living incarnation. So it's like they just want to erase, family. They totally want to erase our story. And not just our story as a people, but our global, I'm even shrubbing, our global presence, family. They even want to remove that. And as long as the historians don't look like you and me, then our story is still not being told. And there are great historians that look like you and me, whose books are out there, who aren't in the mainstream, they're not published anywhere. And that's why I keep saying, family, the few of us are going to make it. And we're going to be all right. And the universe has said that is fine. But if we want for a revival that will really capture as many of our people as possible and help them to get onto this new vehicle, and I keep saying the vehicle is the narrative. If we want more of our people to come on board and to be moved into a new dispensation, then we need our own narrative. We need our own channel. that brings in. It sounds exactly what channel means. It brings in our information, our story, our mirror, our river of information. Because many are losing their rightful inheritance because of a lack of knowledge, family. Many. But this is just another sign of how, family, they are trying to erase our history. And it's funny because this other article came up when I was doing my research, and it talked about how they halfway through the like they say these things existed for 700 years or whatever, they actually put hats on them. And you can see it here, how the hats were placed atop the Easter Island, and they talk about how the famous statues are known for their deep-set eyes and long ears and big-ass nose, which tells you who they are. But anyway, and they talk about how they also sport impressive multi-ton hats, and how these hats were put on after. And I wonder what the symbolism, because these people don't do anything. And this is where we connect to the higher realms, to the other worlds, to the cosmos, to the cosmos. So symbolically, when they came and put these hats on our people, what does that even do? Because, our people didn't just build statues just like that. We didn't build the pyramids just like that. Everything had a purpose. And it wasn't a physical purpose that, Babylon can figure out. I keep telling you, family, the reason we're even the world is this backwards is because Babylon can't figure out how we created, how we evolved. And the books only take them so far because, family, we reached a point in our evolution where books became unnecessary, where speaking became unnecessary. We were so advanced that it was all about telepathy. It was all about symbols. You could see one symbol and it would tell you the whole story of that people or of that place. So we have regressed so far. And then the enemy of our soul has tried to use metal and stone and wheels and all these very, very very, very, I wanted to say barbaric. What's that word? Like they've tried to mimic everything. They've tried to mimic our telepathy with telephones. They've tried to mimic our Akashic libraries and the way we have this massive access to information with a Google, where, they say like at some point 5 billion pages were being uploaded, per hour or daily or some crazy thing like that. So every technology that you see out there is mimicking what we could do naturally. But there's only very few ancient ones and ancestors who are even connected to that time, whose soul goes that far back. And these are the ones who the spiritual rescue is for. The rest, it's like, we hope you make it, but if you don't, oh well. We've reached that point, family. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, tuko pamoja.